Fusion Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
Crop pest. A pest is any animal which damages crops or livestock. The common agricultural pests include mammals, birds, insects, rats, and rodents. The mammalian pests of crops are mostly squirrels, fruit bats, rats, and monkeys. Monkeys damage citrus and banana crops, while bats suck juice or fruit. Control is by shooting and trapping. Birds are the most serious pest of cereal and fruit crops. They attack cereals such as millet, rice, etc. during the milk stages and after grain development. Birds are to be controlled by timely harvesting and the use of scarecrows. Insects are the most serious pest of crops, both in the farm and in storage. Insects are classified into three based on the nature of their mouth parts, that is their mode of feeding. We have the biting and chewing insects, piercing and sucking insects, and the boring insects. The biting and chewing insects have well-developed mouth parts adapted for biting and chewing leaves and other plant tissues such as seeds, flowers, or fruit. The upper mouth of the biting and chewing insect consists of one, an upper lip or labrum above the mouth, a pair of maxillae beside the mouth, each provided with sensory pulp, and also a pair of powerful mandibles on each side of the mouth. They also have a lower lip or labium below the mouth composed of a pair of second maxillae fused together and bearing sensory pulps. Examples of the biting and chewing insects include the weevils, the beetles, grasshoppers, locusts, cockroaches, termites, caterpillars, etc. Biting and chewing insects damage crops as they eat up the leaf, thereby reducing photosynthetic surface and yield. Some remove the apical stem, causing stunted growth. Some destroy flowers, preventing fertilization. And some feed on roots and storage organs and can spread diseases or create openings for disease organisms. The piercing and sucking insects have mouth parts adapted for piercing plant tissues and sucking out the contents. The mandibles and maxillae form piercing stylets enclosed in a groove on the surface of a long, thin labium. The groove is partly closed dorsally by the labrum. When the mouth parts of the piercing and sucking insects are inserted into the plant tissue, 1. They cause stunted and distorted growth. They damage the plant and cause loss of cell sap. They attack flowers, thereby reducing seed production. They serve as vectors of virus diseases. And 5. They inject toxic saliva into the plants, which may cause lesions and lead to secondary infections like fungal attack. Examples of the piercing and sucking insects are the cotton stainers, the aphids, the butterflies, mealybugs, capsids, scale insects, whiteflies, etc. The boring insects. The boring insects are mainly the weevils, thus we have the rice weevil, maize weevil, bean weevil. They eat up the grains, reducing them to powdery residues. Rats and rodents. Rats and rodents attack the roots of plants, especially the root crops like yam, cassava, young rice plants, and oil palm seedlings. They are controlled by fencing, trapping, and the use of wire mesh collars. Important field and storage pests of crops. The field pests include the stem borers, root-eating insects, fruit and seed feeders, non-insect pests, while the storage pests include weevils and beetles and others which are lice, mice, cockroaches, etc. Stem borers tunnel through the stem, causing the stalk to collapse. They also eat up growing points, and late crops suffer the most. Root-eating insects, which include beetles, feed on tuber of yam in the soil, making large holes in them. The fruit and seed feeders, which include fruit-piercing moths, fruit flies, and beetles, feed on fruits and seeds in the farm before they are harvested. Non-insect pests include goats, sheep, monkeys, squirrels, bats, etc. Weevils and beetles, under the storage pest, begins their attack in the field by the laying of eggs of the adult female in a cavity in the grain. The egg then completes its metamorphosis into an adult by the time the grain is in the store. The adults feed on a variety of seeds, while the larvae are confined to cereal grains. Effects of crop pests on yield. There are different effects crop pests have on our crops. They include the heavy attack by pests may result in total crop failure. Infected seeds, crops and vegetables have very low market value, which is a great loss in revenue to the farmer. Pests eat up leaves of crops, thereby reducing the photosynthetic activity of the plants. Pests reduce the quality and quantity of crops. For example, the cotton stainer reduces the quality of cotton. Some insects like the aphids transmit diseases to crops. Insect infestation increases cost of production since a large amount of money may be spent on their control. Insect pest control costs time and labor. They injure and destroy crops in the field and store through their feeding habits. Methods of preventing and controlling crop pests. For effective control, the agriculturist should be able to recognize the various types of insect pests, the nature of their damage, and the likely time of attack. Pests can be controlled by 6 different methods. They are the physical control method, the cultural method, the biological method, the chemical control method, through prohibition and quarantine. The physical control methods include hand picking, using the scarecrow, using traps, wire netting and fencing, and also the hermetic storage. In hand picking, caterpillars of insects and grasshoppers are hand picked and killed. It is ineffective when fast-moving insects are involved. The scarecrow is used for scaring birds and monkeys off the farm, making them think that human beings or someone is still in the farm. Traps, wire netting, and fences are used for catching rats and rodents, and wire nets are used for protecting young seedlings that are likely to be attacked. Fencing keeps away large mammals like goats, sheep, etc. from pesting the farm. Hermetic storage involves storage of grains in airtight bins or cans. The insects already there die of suffocation and heavy accumulation of carbon dioxide and depletion of oxygen. The cultural method involves crop rotation, plowing, timely harvesting, early planting, resistant varieties, timely and regular weeding, and also burning. Cultural control method involves the use of good cultural practices to enable crops escape pest attack or to reduce or destroy their population. In crop rotation, crops that are open to pest attack are rotated with those that are not. The pests eventually die off. Plowing buries the eggs and immature stages of some insects. In timely harvesting, crops should be harvested as soon as they mature, because the longer they stay in the farm after maturity, the greater their chances of being infected by pests, especially in grains, oil palm, etc. In early planting, pest infestation tends to be more serious with crops planted late or in the off-season. In resistant varieties, varieties of a particular crop may be unpalatable to the pest. For example, resistant varieties of cassava that are not tasty or good to mealybugs are now widely used. timely and regular weeding. Some weeds serve as alternate hosts to crop insect pests. Weeding ensures that no alternate hosts are there to harbor the pest when the host crops are not in the farm. Burning, although it has its disadvantages, is very effective in destroying insect pests and their eggs in a pest-infested farm. Talking about biological control methods, this involves the introduction of the natural enemies of the pest. They include the parasites and the predators. Ladybirds eat aphids, so they are introduced in an aphid-infested farm to eat up the aphids. In the same manner, birds, frogs, and snakes eat insects. Cassava mealybug can be controlled by a tiny wasp. Cats may be used to control rodents that attack stored products. And all these under the biological control methods and called the parasites and predators. The chemical control method remains the most effective method of controlling insect pests. The various chemicals used for controlling pests are known as pesticides. Insecticides are specifically used against insect pests, while rodenticides are used for controlling rodents. Pesticides may be applied in form of dust or powder, granules, spray, or smoke. Examples of pesticides include the Gamaliel 20, the Vetox 25, and Didymac 25. The chemicals usually work in different ways. They can work as stomach poisons, systemic poisons, fumigants, nematicides, contact poisons. Nematicides are used to fumigate the soil against nematodes. An example is the nemagon. Insecticides are dangerous chemicals. Some are toxic to plants, other animals, and humans, so adequate precaution should be taken in using them. Contact poison kills the insects if they touch their bodies. Fumigants are used for controlling insect pests in glass houses, stores, and the soil. They are poisonous vapors or fumes used against pests. Systemic poisons enter the body of insects that eat plants sprayed with them and kill or prevent reproduction, while stomach poisons are sprayed on plants and kill biting, chewing insects which eat the plants. Prohibition. Prohibition is the practice of forbidding the introduction of certain infective materials into an area. Prohibition is done on nationwide basis by legislation and is the most effective method of controlling the introduction of pests, diseases, and weeds. Prohibition is successful with the quarantine. The quarantine is a period of isolation and observation imposed by law on imported seeds, plants and animals, soil, and plant products. During the quarantine period, the materials are kept under observation in sealed compartments for a period long enough for any disease symptoms to be detected. If symptoms are detected, the materials are destroyed or re-exported at the expense of the importer. That's at the expense of the person who brought it in at the first place.